that, direction in your life, just not to be outshined by your younger years, you have done readings for some pretty, big folks in the industry, like Madonna, for example.
Right. Yeah.
Now, how many times have you read for her?
A couple of times.
And can you share the story of how that came to happen for you?
Well, that goes back a number of years in Toronto, where I was reading at a restaurant on Queen Street West.
Right.
Which was called the Gypsy Co-op, and it was a yuppies restaurant where a lot of the film people, the actors, used to go. And the city TV was about 2 blocks away from that restaurant. So when Madonna appeared in Toronto, they did an interview with her, and because the staff at City TV knew of me at the Gypsy Co-op, they happened to ask if she wanted to have a reading from me, and that's how it came about.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
And I read her in Toronto at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, no way.
In her hotel room. Because that was after her performance.
Now, a lot of folks are probably wondering what you guys talked about, and I'm not going to put any pressure on you, because as a person who works in the industry, I would never ask you to divulge secrets of any of your clients. So for anybody who is wondering, you're not going to find out, right? Yeah.
No.
What, if anything, could you look back on and say, this was the pinnacle of my life? Is there anything that you can look back and go, that was amazing?
Well, the only thing that I can relate to is when I was in Hong Kong and I had that attack by the triads.
Right.
That attempted to strangle me.
Yes.
And the only reason that I'm here today is because of 2 Gurkha soldiers who came to my defense.
Thank God.
And they were on their way to Victoria Barracks in what was then British Hong Kong.
Right. Okay.
So that was the thing that I remember the most.
Just an incredibly scary, but it must have been life-altering moment for you.
It was. Yeah.
To think that that one moment could have changed everything.
Yeah.
And yet here you sit before us. And
well, I have 9 lives.
You clearly do. Yeah. You clearly do. Well, Eddie, I'm just so impressed with your story, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to get to chat with you and discuss your life's purpose. And was there anything that I've left out of your life that you think would be interesting for our viewers to know?
Well, when I look back on my life, I was never afraid to fail, which means that I was never afraid to try.
That is beautiful.
And I think that it sums it all up.
It's so true. Because so many people are afraid to just step in.
Right.
I have a motto in my life, which is, and I adopted it when I turned 17, and that is just do it. And I got that from Nike. Probably shouldn't advertise them, but that motto has been instrumental in forcing me to step into my life and just experience different new things, no matter how scared or fear of failure there is.
Right.
As long as I just step in, it's like everything just sort of happens from there. And that's kind of along the same lines as what you've done, right?
Well, it's because when I do the readings, whether it's the tarot cards or the palm, nothing is written in stone.
Exactly.
And I always like to quote what Napoleon Bonaparte once said. He said that some men and women follow their destiny, but I create my own destiny.
I love it.
And so you may, when you read the cards or the palm, nothing there is written in stone.
Right.
Because you have a free will and you can change things.
Yeah.
And I tell that to everyone that I read.
So true. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up something that the folks in Niagara may be watching this and going, this guy looks super familiar to me. And actually, probably worldwide, they probably might recognize your face from an incident that took place about a year and a half ago, where you were in Virgil, having coffee with a fellow psychic friend, Blair.
Right.
And why don't you share with the viewers what happened there?
Well, I was sitting at a table near the window,
Yeah.
having a corned beef sandwich, and while I was enjoying it, a woman with her car came crashing through the window, and
Just epic. It was epic.
it was a dangerous.
Yeah.
And I was hit. I was thrown against the wall. They took me to the Niagara Falls Hospital with a brace on the neck because they thought the neck was broken.
Oh my gosh, how
But,
scary.
well, that's what I told you earlier.
You have
I have 9 lives.
Exactly. Well, that video, the diner just happened to have a video recording that whole situation.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember seeing it. It went viral. And I remember seeing it and going, that's Eddie. How did that even happen? And I think the pun of the day was, how did the two psychics not know that this was going to happen? But let's just put it to you this way. Neither of you got seriously injured. And if you watch that video, you should have got seriously injured.
Right.
Based on that video, something was protecting. You guys were being protected big time during that event.
Well, the thing, there was one reporter that asked, well, because you're a psychic,
Yeah.
how come you didn't know?
Right.
But,
Yeah.
you don't turn this on all the time.
Right.
You turn it off and you turn it on.
Exactly. But for, the grace of God, you're still here. And like I said, neither of you were serious. Like, I know that you both suffered injuries from it, but I mean,
Right.
you're alive. So I
Yeah.
thank my stars for that one. Where do you think you're going to go next? Eddie, what's next in your life?
Well, I don't believe to retire. I don't believe in that
Clearly,
word.
yeah.
So I'll just move on. I'll do the psychic fairs until my time is up.
Because we were talking earlier about, would you ever do the magician show again? Would you ever bring that act back?
Well, I have all the props in the garage. They're still there.
Yeah.
The prop of sawing a girl in half and the prop of suspending a girl in space. They're all in the garage,
It's amazing.
ready to be taken out again, but I don't think I will.
So I just have to share with the viewers that I did ask you earlier if you would share any of those secrets with me so that I could know how those stunts were performed, and you gave me a sharp no.
Well, it's because the older performers keep the secrets.
Exactly.
But this new generation, they're not so much concerned about keeping
I know.
magician secrets.
I think we're just so curious, right? Like, how do
Yeah.
you do that? Saw somebody in half. I know that you also have a friend that's high up in the magic world, and you sold some of your props to him when you sort of backed away.
I sold one of my illusions to David Copperfield. And it was called the masculine chair.
Okay.
And basically what it is, it's a king's throne with arms, and you put a sword across the arms of the chair, and on that sword you balance a human head with no body. And that head will talk and answer questions for you.
No way.
And I had it in my garage, and it brought me a lot of bad luck.
Oh, I can't.
So I sold it to an antique magic dealer
Yeah.
in New Jersey called Mario Carandi. And he in turn sold it to David Copperfield.
That's crazy.
So I sold it to him for $1,500.
Yeah.
And he sold it to David Copperfield for $17,000. So when David Copperfield came to the
Big
O'Keefe
difference.
Center, he was waiting for me to call him, but I wasn't planning on seeing the show. So Bob Lund from the Magic Museum in Marshall, Michigan, called me. He said, Copperfield is in Toronto, and he's waiting to hear from you because he wants to talk to you. So Copperfield was staying at the King Eddie Hotel.
Okay.
So there was a code word. I was to call the King Eddie Hotel and ask for Mr. Black.
No, that's awesome.
And then they would put me through to David Copperfield's suite. So when I called, there's a girl that answered the phone. And I said, it's Eddie Diijon. And I was told to call and talk to David Copperfield. So she went off the line. David Copperfield came on the line. And he said, Eddie, he said, we've never met, but we have something in common. We've both been effed by the same guy.
So true.
And that's because he found out that I sold a chair for $1,500 and Karen sold it to him for $17,000.
Jeez, that is too funny. What a cool story. So did you make it to any of his events, like to any of his shows?
I've seen his show since,
Yeah.
And he's invited me to see his museum in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you got plans to travel to see it?
I will go eventually.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. I love Vegas. Well, Eddie, this has been incredible. And, you're not somebody who wants to promote yourself. So for the viewers out there who want to touch base with you, we're going to put an email in, which is a friend of yours email, to help people connect with you if they have any questions or they'd like to connect with you.
They can call Stan and Ray.
Okay.
At
the FS fairs, psychic fairs?
Fair, yeah.
Yeah. So we can put that information in as well for them. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you today. As usual, every time I talk to you, I learn something new about your life, and it's just such a cool story. I'm so blessed to know you, and thank you so much for
and I'm blessed to know you.
Eddie.
And it's been a pleasure, Liz.
It's really pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.